Hey everybody, what's going on? It's James here with Crypto Common Sense, and I have your Bitcoin/cryptocurrency update for January the 30th. Before I jump into today's content, please do me a huge favor. Hit the thumbs up button on this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to click that bell icon to get notifications when I release new updates. So I've got some interesting theories to talk about with you today, and I want to go ahead and shoot this video before I go to bed because I'm shifting my sleep schedule back to nights since Bitcoin seems to be experiencing its volatility during the nighttime for me. So I want to knock this out so that way you get it before 1 or 2 o'clock Central Time tomorrow, okay? So whole lot of lines in this chart. What in the hell are we looking at? Well, I'm going to show you what we're looking at. I'm going to break this down piece by piece and kind of explain a scenario that I'm starting to look at, okay? So first thing let's talk about this bottom of the chart. This line was this upward sloping trend line, and I had talked about this back here a few weeks ago, right? It found support here, put in the double top in RSI, and then it dumped. It dumped all the way back down to this level around 8,200 bucks for breaking back above this line. So what is this line right now? It's just a line, right? What's interesting though is it acted as support earlier tonight when the price of Bitcoin fell down to this level right here around 9,200 bucks. I actually took out a long position. I had a hard time doing that, I'm not gonna lie. As a bear, it's pretty tough, but I did take out a long position right on that $9,200 support, because it was easy to put a stop loss if I was wrong, right? I could say, hey, look, if it goes down to 91.50, get me out of this trade. So I'm sitting in that trade, fairly small position, right? Smaller than normal, because again, I have a bear bias. So I was, very hesitant to take the trade at all, but the setup was there, so I took it, okay? But also, this RSI, when that was going on, was actually touching this red line, and then it just bounced off of it. So I do think this line is important, and I think a break south of that line could mark the beginning of our markdown phase, okay? But I want to get rid of that. I want to talk about this idea that I literally just came up with tonight, okay? So essentially what I have here, I have two trends, okay? I'm going to get rid of this horizontal line here. I have this downward sloping channel. This was our downtrend ever since June, up until really this last month. And then I saw some people on Twitter drawing this rising wedge. By the way, I think this is a legitimate rising wedge. But what I also noticed was we have a perfect parallel channel, right? From wick to wick to wick, and from wick to wick to perfect up channel. So oftentimes in an up channel, what you get is you get price that moves from top to the bottom of the range. And if we start looking, we have this convergence right here where the down trend and the uptrend actually have this convergence. So price could come back down to the bottom of this channel and test the top of the downtrend on a bullish retest. And that price point, $7,731. You simply measure it from the top of the mouth to the bottom there, and that gives us a price of about $1,015. And then wherever it breaks south of the wedge at, if it breaks south, you just simply move that over. So let's say hypothetically that in the next couple of days, our price finally dumps out of the bottom of this wedge. Let's say that it does it, what's today, January 30th? Let's just say it does it sometime in the next 3 or 4 days, okay? So it break down somewhere around this point here. February 2nd, February 3rd, in that ballpark. Well, look at what happens. That will put our target right down around 7,800 bucks. So suddenly we'd have something that looked like this, right? Obviously it wouldn't go straight down. I just can't draw a perfect line, okay? But it would move down to this level, okay? So makes sense with our two channels, makes sense with our rising wedge. And if we draw some Fibonacci levels on here, if we're drawing it from this first pullback, because this pulled back to the 61.8 Fibonacci level already, then our 61.8 golden pocket is right between here and right between here. So again, we have all these things converging. Now here's the even more interesting thing. If that happens, it wouldn't make me bearish. In fact, it would probably make me more bullish, because if we zoom out, we basically would have a left shoulder, a giant head, and if this comes back down to here and consolidates a bit, we're going to have a right shoulder. So we'll have a giant inverse head and shoulders. And if you look at where that's at, right, we can start getting a run up. Maybe the halving people are correct. Maybe it is going to create a pump. And maybe, just maybe, we end up breaking out of that inverse head and shoulders in April or May, right? Which would be a breakout somewhere around $9,500 to $9,600 breakout target, a neckline. And then from there, if we measure that head and shoulders, we end up getting a target up around, this is just very, very ballparky, up around $12,000-13,000, basically retesting our old close, right? Our close back here, right? Up in that ballpark. I like that idea, right? That's the bullish scenario that I think makes the most sense. This scenario that bulls have in their head where, you know, Bitcoin has broken north for this downward channel is just suddenly going to shoot up to $20,000. Way too many people came in this market in 2017, and way too many people are remembering a very specific 2 or 3 month period where Bitcoin did go from $5,000 all the way up to $20,000, right? The rest of that bull market from 2015 through 2017 did not work that way, right? When I started getting into Bitcoin, Bitcoin was $1,450 or $1,500, and it didn't break $4,000 for like 6 months, right? So it was going up fast, don't get me wrong, right? But then it would have a big retracement at 61.8 to the 61.8, then it would go up and then retrace and go up and retrace. So this idea that it's just going to go straight up and not retrace. I saw somebody earlier doing a chart calling for $16,000 already. I don't know where they get this stuff from. It's very frustrating to see it. It's like, man, stop poisoning the field, right? We don't want it to go straight up to 16,000. Okay. And again, I took out a freaking long position earlier. I still don't want it to go straight to 16,000, right? All that does is create a parabolic rise that then has to crash, that then has to have some steep, hard correction. And your retail traders or your retail investors, they don't understand this stuff. They're buying Bitcoin at $14,000, $15,000, $16,000. Then it dumps. They sell their Bitcoin for a loss, and they go tell everybody they know what a scam Bitcoin is. It's not good for Bitcoin. We want stable growth. We want some volatility so we can trade for sure, right? This is fine. But we don't want it to be going up 100% and then correcting 70% or correcting 50% over and over again, right? I mean, well, obviously we do if it was sustainable, but it wouldn't be sustainable, okay? So I'm pretty excited about this concept. It would still mean I was wrong. It would still mean I was wrong about it going down to 4,100. It would still mean I was wrong about it going down to 5,000. So, you know, I'm going to have to eat that crow if this comes to pass, and I'm fully willing to do that, okay? One of the things about trading is when you realize that you might be wrong, you got to start accepting that you might be wrong and looking for other possibilities. And this is just one scenario that I think makes sense, okay? I do think it makes a lot of logical sense. I think there's a lot of, you know, convergence around this area. Will it happen? Who knows, right? It very well could just come right back down, chop through all that, and do what I originally thought, which is put in a new low, okay? But I got to say, it looks pretty strong right now, so I'm having a hard time. I'm just having a hard time being bearish, right? I think we need to have a pullback for sure, but I just don't know anymore that we're going to get back inside this channel. You know, we have now closed above the 200-day moving average, not just one day, but 2 days above it. And, you know, they were strong closes. It wasn't like it went up, had a massive wick, and then came back down like over here. Right? These were pretty full candles, right? And it's just one SR flip after another, right? I talked about this in yesterday's video. We had this one where it flipped from resistance to support. We had this where it flipped from resistance to support. And I said in yesterday's video, watch this one right here. And what happened? It came down, perfect touch. That's where I went long and bounced off of it, right? I didn't take any profits yet, right? Even at 93.80, I wanted to. The bear in me was like, take the profit. Take the profit. I feel like I got the two little guys on my shoulders, right? The bear and the bull. Take the profits, James, right? But I'm not taking profits on that trade. Essentially what I'm doing is I'll stand out long until I get stopped out. And I think I will get stopped out, and I'm perfectly okay with that. Essentially, if I don't get stopped up, it means it just kept going up, okay? But if it goes down and falls below that support, I think it's going to go, quite a bit further down. So I'm okay getting stopped out. So it's not really a trade with a profit target in mind. It's more of a, hey, the long setup was there, and if this isn't need a bull trend, get into a long position and ride it. So that's what I'm doing. Like I said, it's a small position. It's not near as much Bitcoin as I had, so I don't want to pretend like I bought all of my Bitcoin back. I didn't, right? I didn't, and I won't. I think I talked about it yesterday, maybe not. Maybe I edited it out if I did, but essentially I've decided not to buy all my Bitcoin back. Even if this happens, even if it goes to 4,000, I won't buy it all back. I had too much. I want to, on one hand, it's like, it'd be awesome to buy, 15 or 20 Bitcoin and watch it go up to 100 grand. But, it's just a dumb thing to do. It would be a lottery ticket type of thing, and I'm not going to do it. So I've decided to be more conservative. I'm still going to buy a decent amount, and if it does end up going way up, it'll still be a really good payday for me, but it's not like I'm going to suddenly become a millionaire off of Bitcoin, right? Unless it just did something really unexpected and went really, really high. So I felt better. I felt better ever since I made that decision. It's like taking a weight off my shoulders. Like, hey, it's okay to go in and be wrong, right? Because you're not risking money. I'm not risking money I can't afford to lose, right? Kind of the golden rule of trading. And, I kept wanting to break it. So I feel pretty good about it. Okay, but that's what I'm looking at on Bitcoin right now in the bigger picture. I like this potential head and shoulders setup. If we take a look at the 3-day chart, let me pull this up real quick. Essentially, don't worry about this fractal stuff. I was just kind of playing around with some stuff. I don't really think this is what's going to happen, but if you want to know what this is, it's just a fractal of this move here from this top down to this low over here. And if it plays out, you can see it's going to ride along the trend line up until June and put a bottom in around $3,400. Okay, what I'm more interested in with the 3-day chart right now is this upward sloping trend line, which I don't think I've talked about in previous videos. Essentially, it was support. It acted as perfect resistance right here. It acted as kind of semi-resistance right here, and it's really acting as resistance right now. So I'm curious if it's going to bounce off of this and have some type of pullback or some type of correction. Again, I don't think this necessarily means it's bear market time. We're trying to talk about new lows. I think this is more of an upward sloping trend line, which means that we might get a correction off of it, right? Back down to that $7,500 to $8,000 area. So that's what I'm seeing on 3-day RSI. Again, I don't see anything bearish there. And by bearish meaning, hey, we're going to new lows, okay? On the weekly chart, I don't even really want to talk about the weekly chart that much because the week is so far from over. But if we are talking about it, we're outside the RSI box. This looks like basically, just kind of a cool off period before another move up. Okay. So I think that's what that is. The line I'm still watching is this line here, 95.48. That's technically the line that I want to see break and close on a weekly level to get bullish. But I've got to be honest, I'm getting a little bullish anyway, even though we haven't broke it yet. And again, I have stop losses on those long trades, so it's not like I'm going full bull or anything yet. But we're in an uptrend on a daily chart, so I went ahead and took a long position for a change. All right. Now, what I did at the same time was I took a short position on EOS and I got stopped out, which was a perfect setup. I don't regret taking the trade. Should have taken the trade. The setup was there. Everything was perfect. And I took it, and like 40 minutes later, it just smoked me. It just pumped like 4% in an hour. So that sucked. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing on Bitcoin, right? Still looks like we have some strength left. If we're looking at this chart, let's go back to this chart. It's a little cleaner. Okay, well, none of them are that clean. Let's get rid of some of these lines. All right, so we're looking at this chart without all the lines and everything on it. We still have what looks like some really toppy action. Maybe it's not the top. Maybe it does pump up, throw one last squeeze out there, try to get up to $9,600. But I really don't think so. To me, it really does look like, this thing is turning down, right? It's basically got this downward sloping trend line now that it's following along on the 4-hour chart. If we take a look at this longer trend line, we might get something like this. We might get something like this. Right now we look at this and it's like, oh, it's so far away. It's not going to happen for a long time. If this thing does start to dump back down to that area down around $7,800, it may just bounce right off this trend line and never come back down into the oversold territory. Okay, we got a lot of these oversold, dumps over the last 6 months, and it started to feel like a normal thing, right? It just felt like every time it started to dump, we were going to see 20, 25 RSI on the 4-hour. And the reality is you don't see that kind of stuff on a regular basis in a bull market. So if you look, ever since the bottom, right, whether it's the total bottom, we don't know yet, but ever since the local bottom in December, we have not seen the 4-hour RSI drop down to those levels. Okay. In fact, we have this upward sloping trend line that this is pretty well respected. It had this false break right here, but other than that, it's respected that and bounced right off of it. So if we just go ahead and pull that over, that's a line that's worth watching. Okay. If this comes back down to 40, 50 RSI, it may be that that's the pullback and it just keeps moving up from there. So I'll be watching that. And also, don't forget that this is still a double top right here in RSI. You have your up, your left hump, your right hump, and the shoulder was right around 69 to 70 RSI, and it did break it. It did come back up for a bearish retest. Okay, so it does look like that RSI is wanting to head down. If we blow this up, it'll be a little bit easier to see. Right there was your neckline. Okay, so when you get a double top, you're supposed to have your up, your down, your up, your down. When it breaks the neck, it's supposed to come back up and retest it before further downside. So that's exactly what I'm seeing. And again, that's one reason that, I'm not bearish in the sense like, hey, I think we're going to $5,000 next week, right? I've kind of cooled off a little bit on that because, this uptrend was so strong. I'm not ruling it out. I don't want to make it sound like I'm completely bull and like I'm just like, okay, 6,400 was for sure the bottom. But, I think right now we just can't talk about whether 6,400 was the bottom or not. I think we're going to have to see, first of all, if this even pulls back, right? And if it does pull back, then we're going to have to see, does it find support around the $75,000 to $8,000 area, or does it just chop through it and go to new lows, right? If it doesn't chop through this and it starts moving back up, it's going to be bullish in my mind, right? That's going to be hard not to take that long, okay? And again, I'm in the small position right now, but I'm talking about buying back the specific amount of Bitcoin that I'm wanting to buy back and hold, okay? So that's kind of the Bitcoin picture. Alts look different. Alts, like I said, I got smoked earlier on this freaking EOS short. The setup was there, right? The setup was definitely there. You can see here's my chart. Basically, what I was looking at was we had bearish divergence. We had this downward sloping trend line. We had triple bearish divergence, actually, right? Higher high, lower high, lower high, lower high. It looked like we had tweezer tops. We just had all these things that were lining up. And so I took the short, right? I took the short at $4.01. And then I have my stop loss just above the old highs up at $4.16. Looks something like that, right? On the 4-hour chart, it's a little easier to see. And of course, I mean, just literally within minutes, it started to pumped hard, and within an hour, poof, it stopped me out on a damn wick, right? So to me, some of these alts look like they're having blow off tops. It looks like they've moved up, 50 to 100% in a lot of cases, and it looks like they're just putting in these blow off tops. Litecoin looks the same way. If we pull up a Litecoin chart, we've got RSI turning down, right? While price just keeps pumping in these new highs. So you've got triple bearish divergence now on the 4-hour chart. If you look here on a daily chart, actually 4-hour works best. We had this head and shoulders, which was confirmed with volume. And what happened then was it broke down. Now its target was already hit, okay? So if we measure this out, if we're going from wick to tail, its target looks something like this, so it wasn't hit. But if you're being more conservative and you're looking at a line chart, then you get a head and shoulders that has a target that looks more like this, right? And you might say, well, it wasn't hit. Well, it was, right? Candle, boom. See how perfect that was? Came right down to it and started to move back up. So the head and shoulders was played out, but now what it's actually doing is it almost looks like it's putting in a great big double top, okay? And if it is, what you want to watch for is a break of this neckline down around 52 bucks. You put it on a daily, it's going to be even easier to see, right? That is one hellacious potential double top. It's not confirmed until it breaks its neckline. Some people will use the close, which in this case will be down around $53 or so. Some people like to use the lowest point, including the tail, which in this case would be right at $50.63. Okay, so that looks like a potential double top. It's not a double top yet. Okay. So if it is a double top, how low do I think Litecoin will go? Well, it depends on whether or not we're in a new bull market, right? If we're in a bear market, then I think it's going to go really low, really low. We're not even going to talk about it in this video. But if this is indeed a bull market, right, then I think it's more likely that it just pulls back to its 61.8, its golden pocket, right? One thing about Litecoin, see, it's being rejected by its 200-day moving average. It's not like Bitcoin. It hasn't broke above it. So if this is a double top and it moves down, it would be very cliche to come right back down to this level here, right? And right there is where I'd be looking to buy Litecoin, right around 44 to 45 bucks. Okay? And again, if you look, that was an old level right in that golden pocket there. That was a very important level of support. See? Make it a big fat line so it's easier to see. It was resistance through here. It was support right here. It was support back here. And $44, if you go back historically, it was support through here. And now we're all the way back here. This is 2017, by the way. It was an important line all the way back in 2017. Okay. So it would be very cliche for that to come back down and retest that. And again, if you look at the RSI supports the theory, right? You have RSI right here putting in a high of 75.96. Price is putting in a high of 63, close of 60.86. And right here, depending on where we close at, right now it's 61.22. Lots of daytime left, right? So if it closes up there, it's going to be a higher close, whereas this is going to be a potentially lower close, which will be bearish divergence. Okay, we're talking about potentials. We're not saying it's there yet. It's not. But if you have bearish divergence and you have resistance and you have a potential double top and right, all these things start coming together, it's looked good for a reversal to me. Okay. I don't want to go through every single alt. I have a ton of videos that I want to get through, adding a bunch of content to the trading course. Those folks have been patient. Obviously I broke my neck and I'm in this neck collar, which makes talking difficult. I have to actually crank it down to talk. Neck is feeling a little bit better this week, so I've actually shot about 6 or 7 hours of video today. The funny thing is I shoot 6 or 7 hours, and after I get done editing it, it's like an hour worth of actual content because the course itself, it's just a lot more editing involved. But I want to get that done, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap the video up here. These are just some ideas going through my head. Like I said, right now I am in a small long position, but I'm not full bull yet, right? I want to be very clear about that. That long position does have a stop loss, and it's just basically, it's more of a in case I'm wrong type of position. In case I'm wrong and it doesn't pull back, I want to have at least a little Bitcoin that I can use to trade with. All that being said, guys, please remember I am literally some guy sitting in a spare bedroom. Nothing in the video is financial advice. Nothing in the video is trade advice. You should always do your own due diligence and seek out professional investment advice for making any type of investment. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure and give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and don't forget you can check the description for links where you can follow me on TradingView, Twitter, where you can join my free Facebook group, and where you can join my trading course if you'd like to learn technical analysis and how to trade. This is James with Crypto Common Sense reminding you to trade safe.